It's around you all the time, and life wouldn't be the same without it. You've become dependent on it, and for a good reason. It's a good tool. My topic today is technology, specifically the internet and social media. I think these two are the biggest modern creations, yet majority of the population isn't aware of its effects. The overall purpose of this presentation is to spread awareness. So, my name is Kennedy Parker, and here I am to talk to you today about modern technology and its impact on us. Now, I think we all know that technology is a pretty broad thing. That means its benefits and its cons are kind of all over the place. So here is what I'll be talking about specifically in this presentation. So the internet, or social media, has many benefits, ranging from unlimited access to information, enabling communication, economic growth. However, at the same time, it still leads to some cons, which are destroying self-esteem and negatively impacting our brain. Now, since young adults make up majority of the internet's user demographic, this topic is pretty relevant. It's important for users to know the effects of technology they're using. Personally, I strongly believe the majority of people don't fully understand how technology impacts them. Hence why this is my second time presenting this topic in a class and also researching it. I think I find it pretty interesting because I feel like we all have our own personal devices and cell phones, and we carry it in our pockets, it's in our cars, it's everywhere, and we don't really understand how staring at these things or looking at them in the long term, even though it is entertaining, we don't really know how it's affecting us deep down. So we're going to dive into that today. Now, you'll see some bullets on this slide, and I'll talk about those soon, but right now I really want to get into modern technology and the internet and how they've improved our society. So first up, if you didn't know, modern technology gives access to learning digital skills that can be beneficial for future careers. According to a report by Burning Glass Technologies, 8 in 10 middle skill jobs require digital skills. Therefore, basic internet/digital skills gained through recreational internet use, like social media, streaming, etc., can build career digital skills. As a result, our work culture has adapted to these new modern tools. Nowadays, career platforms like Indeed, or other things that you may use, make it easy to find jobs on the internet. And without it, in the past, it could have been difficult to find a job. You have to rely on newspapers, maybe walking in and getting a physical copy. Now you can apply to as many as hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs in a day and potentially get your increasement of employment. Next, it provides easier and flexible communication access. Now, this is where my slide comes in. I'll be talking to you about telehealth. Now, if you don't know, telehealth is an easy and convenient virtual healthcare system. So in different countries or different places, or even individuals who cannot get to the doctor's office, what are they going to do? So this is where telehealth comes in. In 2021, 37% of adults used telehealth in the past 12 months. And the World Health Organization stated 1.3 billion people with disabilities can benefit from telehealth. So this just shows that technology is benefiting us in a healthy way, which is really good to hear. So yes, the internet has created easier access to healthcare and finding work. However, that's its effects on our society. But what about us? Specifically, what is it doing to our brain and how is it affecting us? Well, it turns out the brain is being reprogrammed and not really in the best way. Let me walk you through. So technology has developed to a point where we have become dependent on it for everyday life, and not just when you're scrolling. You might use it to cook breakfast, and you might use an electric stove. You might wonder why your car is making noise and just Google a quick question. Or maybe you're just bored and you want to watch Netflix, which is cool. All these examples aren't inherently bad until you get to the types of technology that stop us from relying on our own mental skill. So Nicholas Carr, which is this gentleman right here, he is a former Harvard graduate and a current American author and a speaker who has done numerous research on technology and its societal and cognitive impact. Here's what he had to say in his book right here, which is called The Shallows: What the Internet is Doing to Our Brains. And a quote from his book said, "It takes patience and concentration to evaluate new information, to gauge its accuracy, to weigh its relevance and worth, and to put into context, and the internet by design subverbs patience and concentration. When the brain is overloaded by stimuli, as it usually is when we're peering into a network-connected computer screen, attention splinters. Thinking becomes superficial and memory suffers. We have become less reflective and more impulsive, far from enhancing human intelligence. I argue the internet degrades it, meaning the way the internet functions is quite opposite to how our brain naturally consumes information, which also makes sense when you find out that IQ scores have declined. In the 1980s, an American New Zealand philosopher named James Flynn, that gentleman right there, researched IQ scores, and as a result of his findings, modern technology created a concept called the Flynn effect, named after him, and in this graph right here. The Flynn effect is the observed increase of IQ scores over a population. James Flynn's research revealed a 3-point increase every decade starting from the 20th century. Flynn believed this was a result from the developing education and healthcare, which it was. But as the world became more modernized, a 2018 Norwegian study discovered a decline in IQ due to mass technological stimulation. The creation of technology may have resulted in an estimated 7 IQ point decrease per generation. Flynn's response to this was, quote, "It looks like there's something screwy among British teenagers. We know that the youth culture is more visually orientated around video games than they are in terms of reading and holding conversations." This is yet another researcher showing the potential connection between technology and its negative reprogramming of our brains. So it really makes you think, well, how is it affecting us? The brain's IQ and ability to consume information isn't the only thing that gets affected. The overall perceptions of oneself can be negatively impacted. Social media is a wonderful tool used to connect, create, and consume. It has changed the way we interact socially and the way our world functions. With all these benefits, it can be hard to remember the negatives. But in 2021, a former Facebook Inc. employee leaked documents that showed certain apps, like Instagram and WhatsApp, were aware their program could negatively affect the mental health of teens and those younger. When this hit the headlines, the Wall Street Journal did additional digging, and the document said 32% of teen girls said that they feel bad about their bodies, and Instagram made them worse. Now, this statistic seems relatively low until the leak also revealed more than 40% of Instagram users are 22 years old and younger, and there's an estimated 22 million teens using the app. These numbers broadly put into perspective the amount of people that can be affected by social media. Now, I know what you're thinking. At the beginning, you were giving all these positives about social media, how it helps you find a job and it can build your career skills. And then you learned how it affects your brain, your body image, and lowers your IQ every year potentially. However, we learned from this research scientist at Harvard named Messiv Awok-Bakalu, and you can see his picture right there, we've learned that it's not exactly that simple. So like I said, Messiv Awok-Bakalu is a research scientist at Harvard, and his research argues our usage and emotional connection to specific social media platforms affects its impact. The impact being based on 3 health outcomes, which in this quote right here, he breaks it down a little bit more of exactly what they are. But we have health outcomes, social, mental, and self-esteem. In an article summarizing his findings, it explains the concept of healthy and potentially problematic social media use, meaning the amount of social media consumed isn't the issue, rather how the user is interacting with the platform. Another quote from the article, which I found interesting, stated, "We found that routine social media use, for example, using social media as part of everyday routine and responding to content that others share, is positively associated with all 3 health outcomes. Emotional connection to social media, for example, checking apps excessively out of fear of missing out, being disappointed about, or feeling disconnected from friends when not logged into social media, is negatively associated with all 3 outcomes." So it really matters on your mindset about social media and the way you're using these platforms that really affect you. In conclusion, technology is everywhere. It's in our economy, with us socially, and helps us medically. And it'll be a big part of our future. Therefore, it's more important to understand all the ways it can benefit and disadvantage us. So the next time that you unlock your phone, log into a computer, or catch yourself on a little TikTok scroll, remember to stop and think about the ways you're being affected.